Imagine a world where empires don't just collapse because of wars, but because of a mathematical certainty. Imagine a thinker who, 600 years ago, looked at the bustling markets of North Africa and the decaying palaces of Andalusia and saw a pattern that repeats forever. This man was Ibn Khaldun. While the modern world celebrates Adam Smith as the father of economics or Karl Marx as the critic of capital, they often forget the giant upon whose shoulders they stand. Ibn Khaldun was a jurist, a diplomat, a scholar, and a refugee of history. But above all, he was the first man to treat history as a science. He didn't care about the names of kings, he cared about the forces that moved them. Today, we live in a global empire of debt, a world where the very definition of money has been blurred by digital screens and central bank printing presses. To understand where we are going, we must go back to the 14th century, to a man who lived through the Black Death and the collapse of dynasties, and emerged with the secret code of civilization. Section 1. The Birth of Asabiyyah. At the heart of Khaldun's philosophy is a concept so powerful it explains everything from the rise of Rome to the success of Silicon Valley, Asabiyyah. It is often translated as social cohesion, but it is much more than that. It is the will to power of a collective group. Khaldun observed that civilization begins in the desert among nomadic tribes. Why? Because in the desert, there is no government to protect you. There are no police, no courts, and no walls. Your only protection is the man standing next to you. This creates a bond of blood and shared struggle that is harder than steel. This is Asabiyyah. Khaldun argued that a group with strong Asabiyyah can defeat any standing army, no matter how large. They are hungry, they are disciplined, and they have nothing to lose. They look at the wealthy cities of the plains, cities filled with gold, soft beds, and weak people, and they see prey. This is the first stage of the cycle. The outsiders, driven by necessity and bound by loyalty, overthrow the old, decaying order. They bring a new energy, a new spirit, and a new sense of justice. But the very victory they achieve contains the seeds of their eventual destruction. As they move from the desert tents to the marble palaces, the bond begins to fray. The struggle that made them strong is replaced by the comfort that makes them soft. Section 2. The 5 Stages of the State. Khaldun meticulously mapped the life of a dynasty into 5 distinct stages, a timeline that every viewer today should compare to their own nation. The first stage is success, where the ruler and the people are one. The leader is just a first among equals. There is no heavy taxation because there is no massive bureaucracy. Life is simple, and the state is lean. The second stage is monopoly. Here, the ruler begins to fear his own people. He starts to separate himself from the group that brought him to power. He hires mercenaries who have no loyalty except to his coin. He builds walls around his palace. The Asabiyyah of the tribe is replaced by the ego of a single man. The third stage is leisure and contentment. This is what most of us call the Golden Age. This is when grand monuments are built, arts are patronized, and the cities glow with wealth. But Khaldun warns us, this is a deceptive peace. Beneath the surface, the people are losing their edge. They have forgotten how to defend themselves. They rely on the state for everything. The fourth stage is peace and imitation. The people simply follow the traditions of their ancestors without understanding why. They are content to exist, but they have no vision. Finally, we reach the fifth stage, waste and prodigality. This is the end. The ruler spends money he doesn't have on luxuries he doesn't need. The bureaucracy is bloated. The taxes are crushing. The state is a giant parasite eating the body of the people. Section 3. The Economic Death Spiral. Now, let us look at the economics of this collapse. Ibn Khaldun was the first to describe what we now call the Laffer curve. He explained that at the beginning of a dynasty, taxes are low, but the total revenue is high. Why? Because when taxes are low, people are incentivized to work, to trade, and to innovate. The economy booms, and even a small percentage of a massive economy is a lot of money for the king. However, as the dynasty enters its final stages and the ruler becomes desperate for cash to pay his soldiers and his debt, he raises the tax rates. But a strange thing happens. The total revenue starts to fall. High taxes kill the incentive to work. Merchants close their shops. Farmers leave their land. People hide their wealth or flee to other countries. The king, seeing his revenue drop, raises taxes even further, creating a death spiral that destroys the middle class. Section 4. The debasement of trust. When taxes can no longer be raised, the state turns to a more subtle foe,